Right then, it's time to make a start on this absolute weapon of the Skoda Fabia. So, got to strap it down, get started on this. So, at the minute, this bad boy, let's get rid of this bit of plastic. So, Skoda Fabia PD 130 engine, BLT, pretty standard. It's even got the obviously the EGR still on there, standard intake. These crack a lot. There's the ECU. ECU's there. Got the intake. Not sure what filters in that intake. Pretty dirty. Pretty standard for a obviously a PD 130. So it's currently tuned by the guy who owned it before. I think it's pdtuning.net. So obviously I'll give it a run for him and just tell him where it was. We've got a few additions from the pipework here. Nice, I've got an EGR delete to go on there anyway. I'm going to get rid of all these pipes and all the weaknesses, things like that. So obviously to go a little bit further with it, screw in there. So that's all still on there. So let's get started. So I get the strap down, get a run up, have a look over it, start from scratch and have a good look and see what I can make and show you guys really how to tune one of these bad boys. So actually the first thing I'm going to do is obviously I'm going to remove the intake probably from here, and then I'm going to smoke test it to make sure that there's no leaks anywhere before I start, because obviously if there's any leaks that's going to be losing me power and it could actually get worse. So might as well check that first. So let's get it strapped down and see where we go from there. As we can see, something is leaking down here somewhere. I can hear it hissing. Sounds like the bottom hose. So there you go, straight away. Some smoke coming out of that bad boy. So there you go, straight away you're going to be losing power because the system is leaking. It's not great. But for this, just today, it's not a daily, it's just an everyday car. I'm going to change all these pipes anyway. But for now, I'm just going to go full send and check it out on the dyno to see what it's doing. So obviously that, on a session, would actually fail, because obviously it's leaking air and you're not going to make what you want to make on the dyno. So obviously when you get your car tuned, always, especially turbo cars, always make sure that it's airtight. But obviously it isn't airtight, it's coming out of pretty much everywhere. So let's get it strapped down and see if I can pop this pipe really off. Right, welcome back people. Onto the dyno now. She's all strapped down. Got the PD 130 BLT on the dyno. This Skoda Fabia. Purchased this one to show you boys what to do. It's all strapped down, front over the arms. I'll put the rears onto the wheels with the handbrake on, so she shouldn't go anywhere. If she does, then it's just through the door, over the tarmac, and into the field. So we're all good. Obviously we've got this to play with, but I've also got a C43, got an M2 competition, got a C63, got an M140i which we just purchased, so I think that one's going for paint shortly. And then there's this Mercedes. The guy decided to put diesel into his petrol and blew the engine up. Don't do that at home. Don't do it. Right then, over to the Fabia. So I'm on the dyno. I'll explain how this dyno works. It's a bit different to most dynos, but right now if you're going to start looking into tuning these Skoda Fabias on the EDC15 platform, then you're going to need some bits and bobs. So laptop, obviously you need your Windows software. That's what I'm using. I'm going to pull the file off the car, then use it on there. I've also got Vacom, which is the tool I'm going to use to log it with. That's I've got the latest Hex V2 because I only really work on new cars, but in this case it's an old one. I've obviously got things like V-Flash. I've also got an old 300 emulator, which probably won't find very much of these days. Now I'll show you this in a future video because I haven't got the ECU prepared for this car, which is the EDC15. This is actually an AGU. Now how these work is this box basically becomes the chip. I remove the chip, solder on some pins, plug the emulator into there, and then I can actually live tune that car. So whether it be in that case it's a Golf, well, an AGU, so M3.8, I can do ME7, I can do EDC15, which is what this one is. But anyway, back to it. So we're going to need something to log the ECU with so we can see what's going on. Then we're going to need something to write to. I've just got a little MPPS I've just grabbed off, I think it's eBay. So I'll show you those and how they work and whatever else. They're pretty good for these, plenty enough for what we want to do. Obviously anything, like if you're doing business work or anything more substantial, then you're going to have to spend a little bit more money. So I've got things like B-Flash, got K-Tag, KS, CMD, all the usual tools. And of course, a four-wheel drive dyno. So I'll get all set up in the car, pop all this in, get the door shut up. I'll explain how this room works before I start, just so you get an understanding. And then I'll jump in the car, do a couple of base runs, see where it is, and show you how to log. And obviously I'm going to pull the file off the ECU, going to load it into Windows, see what we've got, and then have a look and see if we can tune it. So let's get into that then, see you over the next bit. Right then, so I'm all set up in the car. I'm just going to quick overview of how this dyno works. So the cell, it's in a very quiet room, it's all locked up. Now what happens is we've got a massive fan at the back of the room over there. Let me just show you that, which could swallow a small child. So yeah, you've got this massive fan, big hole up there, which draws all the air through the room. Now how that works is these two doors here, see these two holes? Well, that fan draws the air back through the room, so it sucks instead of blows, and it sucks air through these holes in the door. So it sucks all the air in, hits the car, but also, which I prefer, it cleans the air in the room, because the last thing you want to do on the dyno is to be chucking air back at the car that is chucked out by the car. You don't want to be chucking in all that shit that the car's just chucked out. Okay, you don't want to be chucking all that crap back into the car. So this room is designed to take all the air out of the room and bring in nice fresh air through the front. So just gonna give this car a roll. So let's have a look at the software. So got in front, that's unlocked. Just gonna drive the dyno to about what 5 will do, just to make sure it's all straight. There we go. So obviously this dyno is motored, so I've got control over the rollers. I can run a two-wheel drive car in four-wheel drive if I want, because the dyno will match the speed. They're clever, very expensive. So car's straight, straps are alright, they're not going to come off. Tire's not the best. So let's get to it then. See you in the car. So now then, I've switched over to sound on the laptop. So I'll go right off the screen because it's a bit easier for me. I hope the sound's alright for you guys. So I'm just going to open up the AnyDesk software, which I have on this computer. So I can run the dyno as well. So here's the dyno. And then I've just plugged in the VADCOM. I'm going to open that up as well. It's going to turn the car on. Whoom, rapid. Right, ASR off. So traction control off. Right, Windows. So now in VADCOM, obviously there's your bag number, your component numbers, shop number, soft coding. Yeah, your soft coding you can change, you can do all sorts. So you got your full codes. Let's see what's not wrong with this car. Oh great, so we've got a cam position sensor, that might cause us a few issues, and then area speed. So I'm just going to delete those and just see if they come back. Nope, okay, might be an old code. If not, then it's Henry's fault. But yeah, so now we want to obviously measure box. I'm going to get some people pop up here randomly. I do a lot of work around the world, so it's right. So we've got one. Now what we've got here is obviously engine speed. You can see a lot on the logs. We've got the milligrams injected quantity. Now this is a calculated figure, not an actual. We've got the specified injection duration, so how long the injectors are open for. We've obviously got the important one at the minute, which is the coolant temp. I'll tell you why that's important when we start looking into the map. So I'm also going to check the injectors to make sure they are well balanced. In this case, they are pretty good. If they're pretty much the same numbers across, or quite under one at least, then you've got pretty good injectors. If they are over, then you've got issues, and we need to go look into that and rectify those problems. So let me remember what else I need. 4 is it? Yep, we've got the oh god. So the synchro is slightly out, which is there's 3 13mm bolts on the camshaft, and you adjust them, and then you can turn the synchro on the cam itself. Now that's slightly out, so I'm gonna future session I'll probably set that to 0. I just want to see what it's running like now, because it's been tuned as it is, so I want to see what it's as is. And then I'm going to flick that to 8, because that gives me the driver's wish, the torque, and the smoke map, where I am in each of those. That'll make more sense when I show you on the emulator too, so you'll see that. Too bad. Right. So what I'm going to log on the first run is injection quantity, specified duration, coolant temp, because I want to see which map I'm in. I'll explain. You've got the which map's limiting me kind of log, and then I've got the boost. So I've got the specified intake air pressure, I've got the actual intake air pressure, and I've got the duty cycle map, which is the N75. He obviously got onto the deep rumble. He's adjusted that. This is another important one, because you need to understand the atmospheric pressure. Again, I will show you in the tune. So right now, that's where we are with that. So on the dyno now, I'm just going to set up the diesel, turbo, manual, no slip, front wheel drive, definitely got 300 brake, 200 brake, DIN, or none, whichever, standard, and then continue. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to set the dyno RPM, which is one of the most important parts, because your figure's never going to be right if you don't get this bit right. So I'm going to set the dyno RPM to the car. So go to 3000 revs. So obviously someone's got a problem here. I'll have a look at that after. So get to 3000 RPM. Do. So that is now set. Check 2.5. 2. Yeah. Okay. So neutral. I'll let this slow down. Still letting it warm up. I'm still not up to temperature yet. 46.8 degrees, which means it's not going to run optimal power. That's what we want. Obviously, we want all the power we can possibly have. So let's let this warm up. So the dyno is ready for me. Now what, I'll explain this screen before I do a run, just so you know what I'm looking at. So obviously you've got your RPM, which is now, it's not linked to the car. I'm not using the OBD because I'm obviously plugged in through VADCOM, but it's set. I've rated to 3K, so they're matched together. And then the mile per hour. Now how this works is I have to get into the gear I want to run in before I kick over to the green line, because that's when the dyno starts measuring. And again, once I've done the measurement, you'll see I'll come up obviously as fast as it'll go until the revs start dropping. Then I'll come off the pedal. As I come off the pedal, I shift the gearbox into neutral and then let the car coast down, because as it's coasting down, the dyno then measures the losses of the vehicle, and then when it gets to the grey bar, it will give me the figures, which is obviously the measured power with the losses, and tell me the difference between the wheel and the crank. I'll tell you what I look at as a tuner between those two to explain how to make a fast car. So, where am I now? The temperature. How rough shall I be? Right, 51 degrees. We'll let this warm up a little bit more. Once it's warmed up, we'll kick into give it a quick run. Switch to the 4th gear. I'll go first, second, third, fourth, or I'll go first to fourth, depending on how rough I'm feeling at the time. And then I'll kick its head in and see how many boost pipes I can pop off in the first run, which is pretty much how these tend to go. So, I'm just going to give it a roll. Actually, give it a rev. So I'm going to get that up quicker. It's a bit rough, but it is mine, so if it dies, it dies. It's not the daily. I can push it out and set fire to it. So, this has got hard cut at 4.5, so obviously I'm only going to get to 4,500 RPM. It's going to make some crazy pop, pop, pop noises, and then I can come off the throttle. So, any minute now. I might give it a run and then give it another run just to get it warm. I'll do that. Give it a little. So if you go to log now, and then you change your name to whatever you want to change it to, you can leave it as it is, or you can change it to Fab, White Blow, Run 1. And then I'm going to shift to first, press that start. So that's now going to start logging to a CSV. And I'm going to get the car into gear. This will just be a random run just to get it warm. Right, here we go. Whoa, that's fast, that is. 26 degrees duration, 1.55 bar, 70 megaamps. 75 rating on me. Ooh, there's the hard cut. Yes. Exciting stuff. Right, stop that. Done close. Car's now in neutral. That's obviously rubbing your rapid. It's just doing the losses now, which is this green bar. It's going to measure the losses down to obviously here. Got some annoying noise. Obviously I can ignore the power in this first run because I'm not up to maximum duration. So I'm at 152 brakes so far at 265.5 foot-pounds. Give that a zoom. So that was the first run. It's obviously losing air, so I didn't really expect it to be that powerful, to be honest. That's probably a bit more than I thought it was going to be. Now, I've saved this now to CSV. So if I use my software, I use ECU Edit to open up the log. So I open the log file, open the Fabia, and it graphs it for me. I've got to ask what the PSI should be running at. Yeah, about 1.5 bar. I'll tell you in a minute. So, what I'm looking for is what's limiting this car. So we've got engine speed, engine quantity, space. In fact, it's not even all on here. Every days, you get this now and again with VAGCOM. It doesn't always work the best, and it's just let me down. Thank you, VAGCOM. Luckily, I'm going to run this again. Should be logging all these things, and it's giving me half of them. It's pretty standard. Right, we're up to 71 degrees now. I want to be at 80 plus to be in the highest powered map. If it doesn't get anywhere near 80, then you're never going to get the full power out of the car, so you have to go and find out why you're not running at 80, and obviously go and fix it. At the minute, it's still running a bit shit. Right, so, any minute now. Nope, going down. That just shows just how good the fan is, I'm afraid. It's 25.3 degrees in the room, but the fan's kicking air at the car. You can probably hear it yourself. So, I might have to run it again just to get it to. Alright, I'm going to save this one as the very first one I've ever done on this Fabia. So, Skoda, bad boy. Fill, run, 1, rough, cold. Right, so save that. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to the load part. So I'm just going to do a load simulation where I can set the speed and just drive the car as I want. And then what I'm going to do is just keep an eye on the temperatures. I'm going to try and get this car up to above 80 degrees. I'm going to give it some stick. It's going down. hear that then? That popcorn sound. Girls at McDonald's love it. Come on. That's it, yes, get in the right direction now. Come on, car. Low boost those. Come on. 69. My favourite number. Come on. 70.2. Anytime today we might actually get a bit of heat out of this bloody thing. 71. I only want 80. It's taking forever to get to 80. I might actually have to get out and turn the fan down just because it's been an absolute, yeah. The power between 70 and 80 is pretty much minimal. So if I can't get it over 80, I'll just run it at 70. I'm good with that. Three, it's a magic number. Come on. 72.9. Doesn't look like it's going to go, does it? Right, I'm going to run it at 70. Just because. Right, so I'm going to come back out of that. And I'm going to go measure engine power, continuous. That's all still set up. The RPM is still set up. I'm in neutral. Continue. Right, back on the screen. Going to run it again. Oh, 73.8. Yes, we're on a roll. Right, back on this one. So, fab. 2. Try again. Start. So now, ascend it. So back into gear. Second. That lovely noise. Third. Put your seatbelts on. Fourth. Right. Run up. We're going as fast as it does. Right, there's the popcorn sound, so tell me to come out of gear. Don't know why they call it popcorn, but yeah. 79.2 or 80. Oh, I can feel it now. It's getting hot in here. Right, let that run down. I might give it another run straight after. Now back into the high powered map just to give it a fair run. 85. Stop that. Don't close. I'm going to set it straight to go again. It's not really making any more power. Fab. Run. 3. Temp. 85. So this would be the most accurate run because you need to be up to temperature, and I'll tell you why when we go over. So I'm going to just reset that, fuck that off. Right, so let's go again. That's running while it's still at 80. Quick shift. With the high power map still, as long as it stays there. Are you? There we go. Come off the throttle. That should be about right. There you go, make much difference. So stop, done close. Wait one, obviously run down. Talking about the same power anyway. I'm happy with that. 150 brake. Tune. Nice one. So, boom. 148.6 at 265.2 foot-pound. Okay. Alright, yeah, I'll live with that. So we're averaging around 150 horse, which is pretty shite, but considering the air leak that's on the front, it's about right, to be fair. So I'm going to save that as the Fab up to say 80-degree run. License plate fill, yeah. So complete. So that's stored in there. So we've always got something to look back on. So now what I'm looking at now, well, in this case, probably not a lot. It's pretty terrible. But on the right hand side, to explain the Maha dyno to you, you have the number which is measured is in the blue. So we've got the wheel power, which is the bit I look at a lot, to be fair, because it tells the story of the car. So you've got your wheel power, then you've got your drag, which is obviously this green line. So the green's the drag, which is what happens on the rundowns. When I knock it into neutral, it does the losses. Now that, added to that, is obviously 147.3, which is the no correction or anything else. It's just straight up, that's what it is. 147.3 in the room, that's what it measured. And then you have, by DIN 720 is taking in these atmospheric environmental values, it makes a correction factor by that value, then times is that number by that correction factor, which gives you the P norm, which is 148.6 in the room, blah blah blah, which is obviously where you see a lot of fudging going on when people change temperatures and all that kind of stuff. Or if they run on the brake on the rundown, it adds to the drag power. Now there's a difference between this dyno and the older LPS dyno, which you might see other people have, so don't shoot them down. It's just because that dyno, well, all these dynos, all these Maha dynos, measure the losses in itself too. So any bearing problems or anything like that, it adds to the losses. So you've always got that, those losses are there. Now with the LPS dyno, which is the Yamaha but the older type, normally blue with red wheels, 2 red wheels, those have got really high chassis losses in itself. So the actual drag loss is always massive compared to that of in this case, an MSR 500, which is a new dyno. So just so you don't shoot no one when you see different things on different people's pages and things like that, that's the reason why they're different. So this car is only losing 27.2 brake between the crank and the wheels, which is, to me, that's pretty good. So all your gearbox and everything else, it's only running 27.2, which is what I kind of expect. If it's like 50 brake or something like that, then I know something like the brakes are binding, etc., etc. So the figure will be the same, but I know there's a problem, because if the brakes are binding, it'll also be binding on your run up, so your power will be less. So here it will be less. Your wheel power will be less on the way up. And then when you come out of gear and do the power losses, it's obviously going to measure the losses that you're losing in that brake, and it's going to add that to the losses, and it's going to add to you. So you should always be about the same. So if I go and stick a screw in the brake pads, give it a run, it should still be about the same no matter what, because it's going to run it. It's going to measure it either way. Some dynos you'll get where they add a percent, or it's like a mathematical figure pulled out of the sky, depending on where Saturn is compared to Mars or whatever. And that adds a percent. So you could say it's 120 wheels. Oh yeah, front wheel drive is 12%. We're just going to add that to that and then give you that figure. So a lot of dynos differ with the different powers and things like that. You're better off going one that measures, because then you kind of understand yourself. So if you've got a 270 brake car, if it's front wheel drive and you're losing 70 brake between the drag, then you know you've got issues of the car actually putting the power down. So then you can track back, check your brakes, change your oil in the gearbox and things like that. So it's always good to have the measured losses for that reason. We obviously do a lot with the track cars and obviously the race cars and things like that. We can pinpoint problems and things like that to make sure that it's fair and they're all up to the right power on the wheels, which is obviously where it actually counts. So this is just it's because it's bigger. All the UK people like it, or Europeans, I suppose. They like it because it's a bigger number. Whereas this one is the one that matters, because that is the one that you're actually putting to the wheels, which obviously makes you move. So that's that explained. So now, obviously, I've logged the car. I'm going to read it off now. I've just got to open up MPPS software. Find it. So get out my MPPS wire. plug that into, you plug the USB into it, find your OBD port, which my Vacom is currently plugged into, plug in your MPPS wire, that's plugged in, turn the car off, but turn the ignition on. So you want the ignition on, but not the engine. Go to MPPS, find the ECU you want to do it with. In this case, it's a EDC 15, ECU ID. There's your numbers again. Remember the numbers we saw on Vacom? The same. So let's finish 8 times a day. You can pick up MPPS with that cheap. If you wanted to do things for yourself at home, there's no point going to spend £2,000 on a lead. Just go and grab an MPPS lead and a Vacom lead, and you can go and tune your own car. So what this is going to do now is pull the ECU data off the ECU. Now it doesn't take it off the ECU. I can still start the car. It just takes a copy of what's on the ECU. It doesn't change until you write over it. So whatever is on your ECU stays on the ECU. It can't be lost. You can't unplug the battery and lose it. You can't. All these reasons that people chuck in the air. It doesn't work like that. It's a computer chip which holds information, and the only way that it can lose that information is one, if it's wiped by using something, but then it wouldn't start. It can't revert back to factory settings because it's a computer program. It'll only run what's written onto it. It doesn't store anything or anything else apart from fault codes and things like that, which that's another level of a conversation, if you like. So I'm just going to pull this off now. They're quite quick reads, already at 30%. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to load this into Winolls and show you what's been done to get us to a puny 148.6 brake. Of course, because I've already got hardware problems, which is where you need to make sure you're taking your car somewhere or checking yourself properly, doing pressure tests and things like that. Because there was an issue with the car, with it's not pumping the pressure into the engine, it's leaking out of everywhere else. You're never going to get the power you want, because this car, all engines in general, especially turbo engines, they run off air. So if that engine's not getting the air that it's pumping through, don't try and force more air through a turbo, because you're only going to lose more air out your gaps. Just fix your gaps, fix all your rolls before you lose pipes. Get it smoke tested. Most places do it. I think we do it for like 30 quid, so it's a cheap thing to do. Saves you losing fuel and things like that. So let's just get this red off. 69, 70, 71. It's quite a quick one compared to some ones now. Some of the cars now can take up to, well, I've noticed some cars take 2 hours to read. So think yourself lucky that these are quite quick. I'm not going to speed it up. Let's just see how long this takes. So nearly finished. We'll know at the end if it's put a no read marker, which is fine. There's ways around that too. 98, 99, 100. Right, done. So we'll save that as Fabia start, or was. Key off. Little timer, and it'll say key on. Right, so that's read correctly. There's no read marker. So we've now got a copy. Remember, a copy of what was on the ECU. So if I get Winolls and just drag that copy into Winolls, yes, it's going to look at what I've got that's close. I'm obviously going to have quite a few. So I'm going to use this one. I'm going to open up over the top. It's a new version. We'll check some are okay. So this is the map. Now you can see that this, all this is just pretty much crap. You've got a lot of crap here before you actually see what is actually maps. So if I just press N, it's going to skip me forward. So I've got an EGR deleted. I've got driver's wish, torque maps. Quite soft, to be honest. Torque maps, got the smoke map, because obviously this car doesn't use the MAF at all. So you can take it off, chuck it in the bin, and it won't be any slower, but you'll get fault code. So then we've got a smoke map, so we're in 70 milligrams. We've got duration tables, not a lot in there really, so that's alright. 60. It's got a few duration, even when cold, I've always done that, but there you go. And then you've got boost tables, you've got 1.55 bar. You've got the N75 with that thing I said for the deep idle at the start. Everyone loves the sounds and the gimmicks. This has got them inside. So we've got that. We've got the boost limit. And there's no soy or anything changes, and that's just copies over again. So then what we do then normally is we look. So if I get them logs up that we had, in fact, if I open up an Excel, it's probably easier. But I won't do it that way. I'll do it this way. If I go to, no, I'll open it up in that. Just easier. So if I go to ECU edit, open up that log file. So we'll open up the last one, hopefully a bit better than the first. Nope. What is going on? It doesn't really give us a lot for some reason. Don't know why that is. Let's have a look. Let's see. Cross Tech. Yes, logs. Go to this one, Fab 2, see if it's got more information. Yeah, this one does. So, okay, so we've got all the information in this one. Now, what I'm looking at here, this is a log. So this is basically a copy of what the car's doing. It's just copied it by the sensors, which is what are really important to us. Engine sensors is what we use to tune the car off. So we've got engine speed, we've got injection quantity, so how much is being injected. We've got duration, coolant temp, and we've got engine speed again, IQ request, IQ RPM for the torque, and IQ MAF. Now what these are is basically maps. So we've got IQ driver's request, so which is this one. So this is a request table. So you touch the pedal, this is how much fuel it requests based on how much pedal by how much RPM. So this is a request table. So we log in that table here. So that is that table. And then we've got torque. So again, click through, there we go. So this here is our torque table. So again, it's logging it. Don't want that one, I want that one. So it's logging it, that's what it's logging here, look, 69.7 is 70 milligrams. And then we've got our smoke map. So it says by map, but it's actually running by map, it depends which one it is. We've obviously labelled it quite wrong. There's your map, but it's obviously not touched because it's running off map sensor. So this is just smoke by map. So again, 70 milligrams by whatever bar. So if we go back to that table, that is that table. So that is how we put the logs together. Bollocks. That is how we put the logs together as we go. And then we've got our specified intake pressures. That's our boost table. We've got our actual intake, and we've got our duty cycle map, which is how much it holds the VNT open at certain points to make the boost that we're requesting. So obviously here it's trying to shut the N75 because, no, sorry, it's trying to open the N75 because it's over boosting. So there's all these different things that you see by logging it. So the logging it is probably just as important as the tuning the map, because if you don't know what you're adjusting, then you don't know where you are. Because like here, if I look at this table here, injected quantity, which is the actual being physically being put in. So even though this one's at 70, I'm at 67, 65, 58, I'm at 69 here. So I'm obviously going off by what it looks like this map here, which is the MAF map. So torque and the driver's request are like in the 70s, but I'm not actually seeing those because the lowest of the three is the MAF, or the map in this case, and that's what is actually being injected. So just because something is asking for something doesn't mean that's what you're going to get, because it always works off the lowest map. So if you've got 3 lots of maps for like driver's wish, torque, whatever else, this car will only run off the lowest of the 3. So that's pretty much us done for this session. So obviously here's the log. I've logged it for temperatures and everything else. The file come through, yeah, I'll sort that. So I've got to go and tune some cars. But here's how it's all set out. So you've got your logs and everything else. Get rid of that. You've got your map, which we've just read off. Now what I'll do is I'll go away, I'll fix the car. Obviously I've got an air leak, then I'll run it again, and then I'll show you what obviously fixing that air leak made power wise, and then we'll look into tuning it and sitting it about, I want about 180 horse out of this. See if I can blow one of these boost pipes off. So 180 horse, and then we'll see where it's at. I've also got to get the van on as well, and obviously tune that up EDC 17 CP20, so I'll get that on here as well. I'll show you what I'm doing with that. And we'll start to have some fun on YouTube. I'll start using YouTube more, and I hope you enjoy the videos. Hit subscribe, hit the notification button, all that kind of jazz, and then let's have some fun tuning cars. Right, see you over in the next video.